Hey everyone, welcome back to Pick Six, the NFL betting preview show out of the Fur Football Podcast. My name is Ollie, and I'm joined by my co-host Liam as always. And we have just three games to go of the entire NFL season. Nearly done. Commanders, Eagles, and Bills, Chiefs on Sunday. Sure to be a fantastic weekend of action. Liam, how are you doing?
Yes, all good, mate. It was. I thought the last week's games was probably annoyingly for a UK fan. Our time zones are a bit. Obviously, our late game is at 20 past 1 in the evening, so I was a bit gutted to miss the. Was it? It was the Detroit game, wasn't it? It was
Hmm.
probably the pick of the games. And then I did actually catch a bit of the Baltimore game as well, which was thought it was just a blowout, but in the end, it ended up not a bad game. But yeah, excited for these two. Sort of hoping we don't get a Chiefs and Eagles Super Bowl. Feels like it's just getting a bit boring now.
Yeah, I would. I really don't want the Chiefs in it. I really do not want the Chiefs in it because it just feels like they've not been that. Obviously, they have been good this year, and it's not all about how good your offense looks and big shiny 50-yard passes downfield, but they just don't seem to be as good as they have been in previous years, and they've had their sort of luck and whatnot. Obviously, they are good, but yeah, I'll be rooting for Commanders Bills personally. Okay, do you want to get us kicked off with your first pick then?
I will, mate. I'll give you a bit of warning, mate. There's a little bit of bias into these picks here, just because I am sitting on a couple of tickets of Commanders to beat the Bills in the Super Bowl and Bills to beat the Commanders. So
Yep, noted.
obviously would make sense for my picks to be against the both teams. But I do not as confident in the Commanders as I was. So I'm gonna kick us off with the Eagles -6. I just think they're just going to be too much, especially at home as well. We saw them earlier in the season. Eagles won their game at home. They split in the season, and then Commanders in a pretty crazy game towards the end of the season, which I think Jalen Hurts came out of at half time, maybe, or he was injured in the game. I
Yeah.
think that's where he got his concussion, didn't he? So I think it was Kenny Pickett in the end. And I mean, Eagles still put up 35. Saquon Barkley, if you look at his highlight tape for the season, probably half of them are for runs against the Commanders and then against the Rams, which probably explains his line. But yeah, I just think the Eagles are going to have too much here. Sam Com Cosmi
Cosme. Yeah.
Comsey, the right guard, is going to be out by the looks of it. He went out of the game against the Lions. Think that's going to be a big miss in that interior, especially how well Jalen Carter played against the Rams, causing havoc. So yeah, I will take the Eagles here -6.
Yeah, I was close to doing the same. I was just a little bit put off because the Commanders have covered well this year, but I do think Cosme is probably a pretty big miss because I don't think the run game will get going at all. More on that a little bit later. I'll start off with Bills Chiefs. I'm taking the Bills plus the 1.5 at 10 to 11. And maybe this is more out of sort of blind hope rather than logic. But this does feel to me like the changing of the guard sort of year. As I said before, Kansas City not quite been an explosive best this year on offense, and they've only scored over 30 points twice since the start of last year. And that is maybe more testament to how they can sort of sustain these long drives. And their defense have obviously stepped up a lot in the last 2 years, even losing players like L'Jarius Sneed. Josh Allen, got to talk about him. 0-3 versus the Chiefs in the postseason, but it does feel to me like the year the Bills finally get one over the Chiefs. There's tons of sort of stats, data behind both teams that we all know because they both obviously are very good. My big concern with this game is that playoff Pacheco, he didn't quite get going last game, annoyingly for us, but he can really put on a show. I think his scrimmage yards per game in the playoffs is, I believe, in the top five all time. Obviously, it's a very, very small sample size, but we talk about playoff Lenny, talk about playoff Pacheco as well. Chiefs 6-8-1 as a favorite, and they are 7-10-1 against the spread on the year, and they're also 3-6 against the spread at home. So Bills plus the 1.5 for me.
Yeah, I will. I'll join you there, mate. I'll take the points for the Bills. I yeah, sort of echoing what you said there. I think this is the time. Obviously, was it twice in the divisional round and the AFC Championship game the Bills have lost. I think this is the year they get there. The Chiefs, obviously they played not last year, was it the year before? I think they're there for the taking. The Bengals could have easily beaten them twice in a row. Obviously, we beat them in 2021. 2022, we could have easily beaten them as well. So obviously the penalty to push out of bounds, which yes is a flag, but again it did look soft. And we definitely had that game there for the taking. So I think they are beatable. The Chiefs definitely. I mean we've seen it numerous times this season where they have just come up with a scrape of their teeth. But yeah, yeah, I'm confident in Josh Allen this season. I think he's playing. I think he's going to win MVP. I don't know if you saw it today. The like the nominees came out, didn't they, for the
Yes. Yeah.
awards? So Lamar is on the obviously MVP, but he's on the AFC, or sorry, Offensive Player of the Year as well. But Josh Allen isn't on that. I don't really get that.
Yeah, that's where
I don't think.
it sort of feels like offensive player of the year should just be a skill position, not well like
Yeah,
a like a back or a receiver or a tight end.
yeah, Burrow was on that as well for that. He was under like five awards, whereas then yeah, I didn't really know why. Um, but yeah, I just think Josh Allen's got this in him. He's been playing incredible all year, and I think they go one more. I think this year, from what we've seen, that we thought the Chiefs can outscore anyone, but as we can see from this season, that's not the case, and they've got to play more defense to beat them. And I just don't think they'll have enough for Josh Allen. So I think the Bills win this game and yeah, cover that 1.5.
Cool. My next two are in Commanders Eagles. This is my play of the week. I'm taking Commanders 100, sorry, under 118.5 rushing yards, which is 2023. I've going to reel off quite a lot of stats here. So actually, they got pretty close to this total in the Week 16 matchup between the teams where Hurts went out, but this was largely thanks to Jaden Daniels using his legs. They got nowhere near in Week 11, and I think this is actually a pretty bad matchup on the whole for the Commanders. Eagles, they're the only defense in the league allowing fewer than 5 yards per play, just 1.6 points per drive, and in the postseason, that's just 1.36 points per drive. The Eagles are going to run the ball a ton themselves. I don't think that they'll come on to be able to stop the run at all. And I think Daniels will probably be forced to beat them through the air, which is probably going to be an interesting matchup to watch. Obviously, Eagles DBs have been incredible ever since Cooper DeJean came in. In week 11, their backs rushed for 21 times for 75 yards and a touchdown, with only 0.62 yards before contact per rush. And in week 16, that was just 15 rushes for 32 yards. Jaden Daniels, I think, had something crazy like 90 yards himself. As we mentioned before, no Sam Cosmi. He is a huge factor in their running game. The Eagles just simply are not going to get beaten on the ground in this game. And 118.5, even with Jaden Daniels' running potential, just feels like far too many. Finally, Eagles 64.3% success rate, which is a measure of how good a defense or an offense is in how sort of well they succeeded their things. Really badly explained, but it makes sense. They're 64.3% against running backs, and they only allow 4.2 yards per carry to running backs as well. So that was a lot of sort of stat waffle there, but Commanders under 118.5 rushing yards.
Sounds good to me, mate. I'm going to keep it a little bit more simple here. I'm just going to take the over in the game, 47 and a half. Um, sorry, this is in the Commanders Eagles games. Yeah, I just feel like there's going to be some sort of backdoor here. Saquon is going to run off. I mean, it's yeah, his line as you said is 130, but it might even be more now. I haven't checked, but I mean, he's going to break for one or two touchdowns. You can almost guarantee it. I can picture it already that he's going to break for a sort of 50-yarder or so. Um, and yeah, the Commanders' offense is still great. They put up points. Jalen Daniels is unbelievable. Um, so yeah, I will grab the over here just because again it's the 8 o'clock game. Just feels good. Giving the over 47 and a half.
Very nice. Always good to just have a few vibey picks. I think I
Yeah,
can picture it going over, to be fair. I do think it might be a little bit chaotic. I mean, if Jaden Daniels can throw the ball as we know he can, then it could get a little bit interesting. But yeah, my final game prop is I'm taking the Commanders over 1.5 field goals. This 11 to 10. This is largely because the Eagles had the fifth best red zone defense in the league during the regular season, and now they've got the third best during the postseason. They allowed a TD on just 50% of opponent trips to the red zone, and it's 38% in the postseason. Commanders do actually have the best fourth down conversion rate in the league at a staggering 81%. And actually, funnily enough, something that I noticed while I was looking up stuff for this game, all four teams are in the top five for fourth down conversion rate. It's something between 81% and 60%. The Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, and the Commanders. So people like to sort of have a go at the analytics, but look at the four teams that sort of risk it the most. They are here. I think the Lions as well are up there. So, everyone who's good is going for it, is risking it. And the Eagles actually do. I'm talking myself out of this pick while I'm doing it. The Eagles rank
Mhm.
quite low in allowing fourth downs. So the stats aren't really with us here, but I do think the Commanders are probably going to be forced to kick a little bit more than they'd like in such an important game. I don't know if Cliff and Dan are going to live and die by the sword of these fourth downs, but over 1.5 at plus money just sort of felt too good to turn up. So yeah, we'll be taking that.
yeah, very nice, mate. I will kick off the player props. Play of the week I'll go for here. I'm going Dalton Kincaid over 33 and a half receiving yards. Couple reasons, just seems low for a game where I think they'll have to go away from the run game. The Bills, I don't think they'll be able to heavily rely on Josh Allen and James Cook. I think he's the number two target, Kincaid, over Shakir. I think Shakir is probably Allen's number one guy coming out the slot. And interestingly, Chiefs over the regular season, Chiefs allowed the most yards to tight ends. So yeah, I just thought 33 and a half, short number in a big playoff game. Give me the over.
Yep, nice fan of that. I will start off mine. I don't believe I've taken any props on this guy this year, maybe one. This guy called Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking his over on pass completions of 24 and a half. We all know this Chiefs offense, you know, when Mahomes, Kelsey, and Tyreek were all in their prime, explosive passes, lightning quick. But Mahomes has gone from the highest average depth of target in the league at 8.65 in his first full season to now just 6.34 yards, which is a staggering drop off. He is now in sort of the bottom three or four for how far he's throwing it. And yeah, a lot of his completions are at or just in front of the line of scrimmage. I do think they'll be chasing points in this game. As I said before, I do think the Bills can have, there's real potential for them to take over the game. Mahomes also has an above average time to throw in the league, but one of the league's worst average depth of targets. All put together, it sort of means that even when Mahomes does have time in the pocket, he's still dumping it off a lot. So I think we will see a lot of dump offs, a lot of underneath stuff, meaning 25 should be a breeze for Mahomes, and he's gone over this in five of his eight games versus the Bills.
Yeah, love to see that. Right, I've actually got three more player props. I was more confident in the player props here, so I'm gonna take one out. Let's go for Austin Eckler. Had him believe in the Commanders, backed his receptions. They that sailed in at plus money. Going to take his yards at this point. I've got 25 and a half. Maybe in a number earlier in the week that I got. Um, so he didn't. He's only played against the Eagles once this season. But in that game, he had 8 catches on 9 targets. Now, if you think about it, yes, Commanders could be behind this game, and they, as you've mentioned with your bet earlier, mate, they might struggle to run the ball. So the running game might come out of quick dump offs, screens, and yeah, Austin Eckler is or was one of the best receiving backs we've seen in the league over the last couple of years. So yeah, I'm going to take us over here, 25.5 receiving yards for the Commanders running back.
Yeah, I was close to taking his. receptions line, but it was sort of in that sweet spot of 3.5 where,
Yeah,
or 2.5 where minus 160 didn't feel great, and then 3.5 was sort of plus. I mean, I could still see it, to be fair. I could still see him getting 4 or 5 catches, but I didn't really feel great tipping it. So instead, I'm taking Dallas Goedert over 3.5 receptions. As we know, Jalen Hurts has been limited in practice this week. I doubt we're going to see many design runs for him, and Dallas Goedert has always been a pretty nice safety valve for Jalen Hurts. He's gone over this total in 3 straight and 5 of his last 6, as he was sort of being eased back in from injury that he actually sustained against the Browns in week 5. I know he spent a lot of time out. So it just feels like a pick that makes a lot of sense. The Eagles are going to have to pass a little bit. They can't just run it with Saquon every play as much as they'd probably like to, even though obviously Saquon has destroyed the Commanders in both games this season. So yeah, 3.5 over for Dallas Goedert receptions.
very nice, mate. I will end it off with I'm going to take Jaden Daniels. Going to take his rushing attempts at 10.5. I'm just going to check the market because I just saw that Austin Eckler line had dropped down to 24.5. So I will update that to 24 by an extra yard there. We've got rushing attempts. I can never find them. There you go. Jaden Daniels still 10.5. So yeah, I'm going to take that. Um, Sort of bringing it back to the dominant Eagles defensive line. See, Nolan Smith has been a standout in the playoffs so far. Jalen Carter causing havoc, and with Cosme out, they could. I'm not sure who's going to come in. I can imagine he's a backup, maybe a rookie. Can't say I'm too knowledgeable on the Washington O line depth, but yeah, I just think I mean, he could be running for his life. The angle I like here is good of like really good defensive lines coming up against really bad, not bad, but average offensive lines. Makes the quarterback strangle. What's the word I'm thinking of? Scramble. So,
Not quite
yeah,
the act of strangling, no.
no, but yeah. So 10.5 if for Jaden. I think this could he could easily run for 18, sort of 18 times if they really want to win this game. I think it will probably be through his legs. See, the cornerbacks are very good in Philadelphia. The two rookies up for Rookie of the Year. So yeah, I think the way Washington win this game is Jalen Daniels running the ball. So yeah, give me his over 10.5 attempts.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. I will finish off with a quarterback running prop myself. We're taking Josh Allen's longest rush over 12.5 yards. He actually hasn't hit this line in the postseason yet, despite having 18 carries total so far. But I'm just feeling one here versus the Chiefs, very similar to his touchdown run a few years ago on, I believe it was fourth down. Was it fourth down? Where he scored with like 2 minutes left to put them up 2 scores.
Yes, yeah, 4th and 2. Yeah,
Yeah, and this isn't really much of a statistical pick, more so just we know what Josh Allen's capable of in the playoffs. Stakes are high, and the Chiefs do love to dial up pressure under Steve Spagnuolo, as we know. And actually, Allen did break off his second longest rush of the season against the Chiefs this year for 26 yards. So that is definitely potential for him to get close to that again. I think we've said this before. You said that I don't think the Bills are going to be able to rely on James Cook as much in this game. Definitely not as much they did versus Denver and Baltimore anyway. So yeah, Kim, I'm picturing a 3rd and 7, Josh Allen scramble gaining 15 yards. That's what I'm picturing.
very nice, mate. Do you want to do a little correct score guess
Oh, go on
on
then.
both games?
I'll have a dabble. Go on.
I've just seen there's some markets up. Obviously, they are ridiculous numbers, but yeah, let's have a look at the what am I on there? I'm on the Eagles game. Yep. I would go 31-24. Sort of a late field goal, killing it, and then Jane Daniels trying to get a touchdown at the end and just falling short, unfortunately. But yeah, 31-24 Eagles, I'd go.
I'll go 27-24 Eagles. I think it will be close. I'm not sure the Eagles are going to cover, unfortunately, mate. No, I'll put that out there now. Obviously, I'll be rooting for
Well,
the pick.
mate, yeah, obviously, yeah. I wouldn't mind that though, with as long as the Commanders
Yeah.
win. Uh, I think this could be a bit of a blowout. I'd go 28-17 to the Bills.
Yeah, I can't believe the total's so high for this. I'm not really sure what it's based on. Just previous matchups, I guess. The fact it's the
Just
playoffs.
yeah, just sort of people hoping for a shootout, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna scroll down here. I'm. I could be talked into something like 1917 Bills, honestly, or like 20-17. Um, yeah, I really don't think there'll be that many points, which seems crazy to say in a Bills versus Chiefs game. But yeah, give me 27-24 and 1917 Bills Chiefs. All right, should we go back through our picks then? Do you want to read yours out?
Absolutely, mate. I started with Eagles -6, the Bills +1.5. I've written -1 there, +1.5. And then the over in the NFC East matchup, 47.5. Austin Eckler over 24.5 rushing yards. Play of the week was Dalton Kincaid over 33.5 receiving. Sorry, Eckler was receiving as well, not rushing. And Jonah Daniels over 10.5 rush attempts.
Very nice. I've got the Bills +1.5, Commanders under 100. Why is it so difficult to say? Under 118.5 rushing yards. Commanders over 1.5 field goals. Patrick Mahomes over 24.5 pass completions. Dallas Goedert over 3.5 receptions. And Josh Allen pounding down on the field 15 yards on 3rd and 7 over 12.5 for his longest rush. There we go then. The penultimate set of picks are in. I don't think we'll be doing a Pro Bowl pod, I'll be completely
No,
honest. But there will be a Super Bowl pod in 2 weeks, so there'll be a week off next week. We'll have a guest on for the Super Bowl picks, which should be good fun.
always
Liam,
fun.
yep. Best of luck with your picks, and we will speak to you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, see you in a bit, mate.
Everyone else, thank you for listening, and goodbye.